Hey, hey, what's up, YouTube?
Asperger
This is
syndrome,
Jordan
also known
White.
as Asperger syndrome or
See?
Asperger
That's me.
disorder, is an
That's me right
autism
here.
spectrum disorder,
And
ASD, that is
I'm about
characterized
to
by
do
significant
something-
difficulties in
I'm
social
about to-
interaction alongside
This
restricted
ain't-
and
well, I can't
repetitive
really,
behaviors of interests.
well, at
It
least
differs
I
from
can't
other
get,
autism spectrum
Happy
disorders by
Meal
its
ponies
relative
and stuff.
preservation
Well,
of linguistic
here's my
and cognitive
unboxing
development.
of the
Although not required for
of the
diagnosis,
current
physical
Happy Meal
clumsiness and
ponies
atypical
that
use
are
of language are
in it.
frequently reported. Asperger
We've
syndrome
got
is
this.
named
See,
after the
there's
Austrian
Pinkie
pediatrician
Pie.
Hans Asperger,
Yep.
who, in
Hang
1944,
on, let me,
studied and described children in
open-
his practice who
hang on,
lacked
let me,
nonverbal communication
put
skills,
this apart and
demonstrated
let me
limited
open
empathy with
this
their
one
peers,
up. Let's-
and were physically
I got two
clumsy.
Happy Meals,
50
basically,
years later,
because
it
I'm
was
quite
standardized as a
eater and
diagnosis,
stuff.
but many
Hang on,
questions
let me
remain
open
about
it up
aspects
and
of this
let's see what I
disorder.
got.
For example, there is doubt about whether it is distinct from high-functioning autism,
Here it
partly
is.
because of this, its
Oh.
prevalence is not
No.
firmly established.
Nope, no,
It has
no,
been
no,
proposed that the diagnosis of Asperger's be eliminated, to be replaced by
Oh.
diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder on a severity scale.
Who's this?
The exact cause is unknown,
Oh.
although research
Well, at least I
supports the
can't-
likelihood of
well, at
genetic
least I can't
basis.
pretend that's
Brain
a
imaging
rarity.
techniques have not identified a
Okay,
clear
now
common
let's,
pathology.
do the second
There is no single treatment, and the effectiveness of particular interventions is supported by only limited data. Interventions aimed at improving symptoms and function. The mainstay of management is behavioral therapy, focusing on specific deficits to address poor communication skills, obsessive or repetitive routines, and physical clumsiness.
Nope.
Most children improve as they mature to adulthood, but social and communication difficulties may persist. Individuals with AS experience difficulties in basic elements of social interaction, which may include a failure to develop relationships or to seek shared enjoyments or achievements with others. For example, showing others objects of
Pinkie
interest.
Pie and
A lack
Rainbow
of
Dash.
social
It
and
turns out
emotional
that
reciprocity
I
and
got
impaired
both the same
nonverbal
one.
behaviors in areas such as eye contact, facial expression, posture, and
Oh,
gesture.
looks like I'm
People with AS may not be withdrawn around others
Well,
as
looks
those
like
with other
I'm
more
probably gonna
debilitating
get
forms
what
of
I want.
autism. They approach others, even if awkwardly.
oh,
For example, a person with AS may
Unless,
engage in a one-sided, long-winded
unless they
speech about a
actually
favorite
know
topic
who the
while
heck these,
misunderstanding or not recognizing the
ponies
listener's
are.
feelings or reactions, such as a need for
doggone,
privacy or haste to
every
leave.
pony must understand
This social
that,
awkwardness has been called active but odd.
yes.
This failure to react appropriately to social interaction may
Okay,
appear as
here it comes,
disregard
here
for
it
other
comes.
people's feelings and may come across as insensitive. However, not all individuals with AS will approach
that's
others.
alright.
Some of
Well,
them
at
may
least I
even
can't
display
pretend that
selective
one's
mutism,
Rainbow
speaking
Dash
not
and
at all
one's
to
Pinkie
most people
Pie.
and excessively to specific people. Some may choose only to talk to people they
An
like.
unboxing of the Happy Meal
The cognitive
toys
ability of children with
for
AS often
YouTube,
allows them to
because-
articulate
because
social
there's
norms in
this
a
huge
laboratory
cow
context,
culture
where they may be
of-
able to show a
of-
theoretical
on the
understanding of other
internet
people's
called
emotions.
bronies.
However, they typically have difficulty acting on their knowledge in fluid
There's
real-life
this huge cow
situations.
culture on the internet
People with
called
AS may
bronies,
analyze and
and,
distill their observations of social interaction
and
into
they have
rigid behavioral
mashups and
guidelines,
clips
and apply
based
these
off
rules in
this
awkward
one pony
ways, such as
show.
forced eye contact, resulting in a demeanor that appears rigid or socially
Alright.
naive.
I wish I explained
Childhood
what the
desire
whole
for companionship can
brony
become
thing
numbed
meant.
through a history of
Well,
failed
at
social
least I can't
encounters.
pretend that's about.
People with
That's,
Asperger's
one
syndrome
guy
often
was
display
willing to
behavior, interests, and
exchange
activities that are restricted and repetitive and are
exchange,
sometimes
uh,
abnormally intense or
his
focused. They
alternate
may stick to
pony,
inflexible routines even in
and,
stereotyped
well,
and
that one,
repetitive
and it
ways,
turns out
or preoccupy
I've got
themselves with parts of
Applejack.
objects. Pursuit
and,
of specific and narrow
wait,
areas
what
of
is
interest
the,
is one of the most
show playing on
striking
TV
features of
over there?
AS.
How
Individuals with
which
AS may
is
collect volumes of
actually
detailed
a
information
show
on a
Ron
relatively narrow
Foss,
topic such as
creator
weather
of
data
My
or star
Own
names
Friendship is
or My
Magic,
Little Pony.
worked on.
For example,
I mean-
a child might memorize camera
I mean-
model numbers while caring
Ron
little
Foss
about
over there,
photography.
Ron Foss
This behavior
here.
is usually apparent by grade
So,
school, typically age 5 or 6 in the United
So
States.
it's
Although these special
hang on,
interests may
let's,
change from time to time, they
open
typically become more unusual and narrowly focused,
toys, alright?
and often dominate social interaction so much that the entire family may become immersed. Because narrow topics often capture the interest of children, this symptom may go unrecognized. Stereotyped and repetitive motor behaviors are a core part of the diagnosis of AS and other ASDs. They include hand movements such as flapping or twisting and complex whole body movements. These are typically repeated in longer bursts and look more voluntary or ritualistic than tics, which are usually faster, less rhythmical, and less often symmetrical. Although individuals with Asperger syndrome acquire language skills without significant general delay, and their speech typically lacks significant abnormalities, language acquisition and use is often atypical. Abnormalities include verbosity, abrupt transitions, literal interpretations, and miscomprehension of nuance, use of metaphor meaningly only to the speaker, auditory perception deficits, unusually pedantic, formal, or idiocentric speech, and oddities in loudness, pitch, intonation, prosody, and rhythm. Echolalia has also been observed in individuals with AS. 3 aspects of communication patterns are of clinical interest: poor prosody, tangential, and circumstantial speech, and marked verbosity. Although inflection and intonation may be less rigid or monotonic than in autism, people with AS often have a limited range of intonation. Speech may be unusually fast, jerky, or loud, or, breathing every 5 minutes. Speech may convey a sense of incoherence. The conversational style often includes monologues about topics that bore the listener, fails to provide context for comments, or fails to suppress internal thoughts. Individuals with AS may fail to monitor whether the listener is interested or engaged in the conversation. The speaker's conclusion or point may never be made, and attempts by the listener to elaborate on speech content or logic, or to shift to related topics are often unsuccessful. Children with AS may have an unusually sophisticated vocabulary at a young age and have been colloquially called little professors, but have difficulty understanding figurative language and tend to use language literally. Children with AS appear to have particular weakness in areas of non-literal language that include humor, irony, and teasing. Although individuals with AS usually understand the cognitive basis of humor, they seem to lack the understanding of the intent of humor to share enjoyment to others. Despite strong evidence of impaired humor appreciation, anecdotal reports of humor in individuals with AS seem to challenge some psychological theories of AS and autism.
You should have finished up before you could happen, whatever.
It's coming down too fast.
There. Hunker down in your heart's content whilst I finish things.
Oh no.
What now?
I prefer not to get my hoofs muddy.
There is just no place in you, is there?